This is the Tallahassee Business Podcast, brought to you by the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to our sponsor, 223 Agency, a digital relations firm helping you maximize and develop your digital footprint. Check them out on the web at 223agency.com. Without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Tallahassee Business Podcast.
Hey there, Tallahassee. Jay Revel here. Welcome to another edition of the Tallahassee Business Podcast. We are just delighted to have you with us listening again today for another special episode of the show. There's no other day of the year that excites our members and people all throughout the United States quite like Tax Day. This year, it's a little bit different with the pandemic going on. We are having Tax Day in the middle of July instead of in April. So things are a little different. And fortunately, we've got one of our local tax experts and accounting, all knowing accountants here in our community with us today on the show to talk a little bit about just this sort of strange tax season and what that has meant for people, both individuals and businesses, and things you can hopefully have already picked up on if you have filed so far. If not, maybe you give him or some others a call just to help sort through it all. But we've got Andrew Gay with us of Grimsley and Company. Andrew is a lifelong friend of mine, someone who, if you haven't had a chance to meet him, I hope you will. He is doing some great things in the space, working with Grimsley and Company CPAs here in Tallahassee, a firm that's been around for some years. I'll let him dive into that a little bit more, but maybe even more importantly, Andrew is the treasurer of the board of directors for the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. He keeps our numbers straight and does the same for many clients. So without further ado, I want to welcome him on the show. Andrew Gay, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jay. I appreciate you having me on. It's always fun to dive in with our local chamber and talk a little bit about business.
That's it. Andrew, we always like to give everybody a chance right when we log on to the show here to talk a little bit about their background, where they're from, and how they got into their career and job. And before I tee you up for that, I will ask that you don't dive too much into our own personal history, growing up together in Gadsden County and getting into trouble. So other than that, dive in anywhere you want to.
That's right. So I'm originally from Quincy, as Jay said, graduate of a school over there, Robert F. Monroe Day School, and came over, played baseball at Chipola for a couple years in Marietta, and then came over to FSU. Knew I wasn't going to be the next big star in Major League Baseball, so decided to come over to the College of Business at FSU. Got an opportunity to do an internship, part-time job at Capital City Bank. Got sort of introduced to the Tallahassee culture through that opportunity. And fell in love with Tallahassee from there. Met my wife now of 7 years at FSU, married Catherine, and we've got two beautiful daughters, a 5-year-old and a soon-to-be in 2 weeks 2-year-old, and decided to settle down in Tallahassee and raise a family here. And so I mentioned that unique opportunity at Capital City Bank that kind of exposed me to the beauty of Tallahassee and the way the business world thrives here. And so I took advantage of that and ended up getting a full-time job there after college, after getting my master's, and really learned the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts of business from the many seasoned people over there at Capital City, obviously a great partner of the chamber and the community. I learned after a period of time that I really enjoy helping people change their financial picture for the better. And there's numerous ways you can do that. There's numerous industries that you can do that. But I was personally attracted to the opportunity to get into the tax world, become a CPA, and start dealing with my clients on a direct basis. And it just so happened that my father-in-law, George Grimsley, had started a CPA firm back in the early 80s. And so it was a unique opportunity for me to learn the industry and to use my prior sales and finance background that I gained at Capital City and at FSU to kind of use that as a unique opportunity to position my clients in a better financial picture by me working with them on a daily basis. And so that's what happens. So Grimsley and Company now, we've got, depending on the time of year, running interns and things through tax season, 8 to 10 employees. We're a boutique accounting firm, specialized in tax and business consulting. And we've really enjoyed, the opportunity to work with our clients, and the growth that we've seen over the last few years has been wonderful. So that's a very quick version of where I am today. We continue to see opportunities for growth within Tallahassee, and Tallahassee's been good to us. So we look to get involved in the community and help that way as well. So.
Well, and I know, again, considering your involvement here at the Chamber and other things, we appreciate all the time you're able to give to us. You definitely had a great history of that. You were chair of our Access Tallahassee cohort a couple of years ago, and that brought you on our board, and it's been great seeing you in that treasurer role. It's certainly an interesting year, kind of getting maybe to the elephant in the room. And again, thanks for your time, because I know you probably got a stack of tax returns sitting on your desk, but we've got this weird situation where tax day is July 15th instead of April 15th. Can you just kind of reflect a little bit on what that has been like for y'all, and just what it's like for clients and everyone sort of trying to figure out which way up is these days?
Sure. Well, certainly most clients are having ingrained in them that April 15th is the tax filing date in which they have to be paid in. So April 15th is not the date you necessarily have to file your return. You do get, the IRS does grant you an extension to October 15th, 6 months from the filing date, to file the return, but you don't have an extension to pay. And so the first deadline is always the magic time in which we've got to figure out how much the taxpayer needs to pay in if they are extending, so that they're not charged interest and penalties by Uncle Sam. So obviously with COVID, coming in late February, early March, the IRS began to identify that during this pandemic, it would be difficult for taxpayers to maybe get their stuff in order by that April 15th deadline. So they did grant an extension of pretty much everything related to the filing deadline of April 15th and moved that to July 15th. That does also include 2020 tax estimates. So to jump forward a year, and that's the conversation I'm having with a lot of people now, is it's not just time to get 2019 taxes filed, but it's also the first opportunity that we've had in 2020 to pay in relation to your 2020 tax obligation. So those are the big conversations we're having in here right now, and obviously Wednesday, July 15th being the big day. So because of the interesting part about it from a tax professional standpoint has been, not only do you have the normal folks that are accustomed to filing early and get their stuff in on time, and they do that every year. It's been extended enough that a lot of the people that normally extend until the fall are sitting around with, I guess, not much to do. So they've decided to get their stuff in early. So it's created a very interesting summer for tax professionals. I'm sure every CPA in Tallahassee can, would attest to that as well, that it's been a very interesting summer. It's more been a 7-month extension, kind of more of a just never ending deadline, as opposed to, the traditional big inflow of work in the spring. And then the summer kind of slows down and I get to go to the beach. Well, that's not happening like we're accustomed to doing. So it's certainly been an interesting extension period, but we're almost through it. July 15th is obviously, we're recording this today on Tuesday. The deadline is tomorrow, the 15th. So, we will get through that and look towards the fall. Now, it will be interesting to see if the IRS does decide to further extend the September and October filing dates. That is something that we are monitoring closely. My personal preference on that is I hope they don't, but just because it just takes things further into the year for people. So we'll continue to monitor that and see how shakes out.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get the girls down to the beach soon after all the tax filings go through tomorrow. But I don't know how much sympathy people really have for the IRS or the folks who are working, even here in our local offices. But I have to imagine that their world's been pretty upside down during this. I know you and many other tax professionals have sort of a direct line to the IRS. What's their world look like right now? Are things running smoothly or backed up beyond belief?
No, I would say they are certainly in different times. Most people may not realize where all IRS tax offices are. Hopefully, for most people, maybe you never have to figure that out. But we do have an IRS office here in Tallahassee. And for example, just to give you the idea of the just vast backlog that they have, I had a direct conversation with one of them the other day, and they made the comment to me that, the mail, they've got semi-truck loads full of mail sitting there at their offices that they've got to sort through due to the fact that they sent everyone home working remotely shortly after COVID hit, so just as many business owners did. The IRS, operated in that same accord to protect their agents. And so you had a few month period where our tax practitioner hotline was discontinued for a period of time where we could not, as tax practitioners, not correlate directly and communicate with the IRS. And so them coming back online in the last few weeks has really, created a chaotic environment in the IRS, just from the standpoint of the fact that they've got so much work to catch up on, so much paper. If you've mailed something into the IRS in the last few months, that, we've got clients calling, hey, I haven't gotten my refund yet, or they haven't cashed my check yet that I sent a payment in. Those types of things people will have to be patient in allowing them to work through that process, because there's just a mass inflow of paperwork and documents that happened over the last few months that they're sorting through. So be patient, consult with your tax professional. We can communicate with them now. So there is some lines of communication opening up there to give people some comfort.
Patience seems like good and timely advice in today's world on a lot of fronts. Andrew, again, most people talk about, the deadline this week, which is your personal filing deadline, but also a different world, I would imagine, for those on the business and corporate side. What has this year been like for businesses as they've been trying to sort through what their tax situations look like?
Sure. Yeah. So, for the business community, there's been obviously a direct impact from COVID-19, and the federal government, as well as local government, has offered various stimulus packages. So in addition to our normal business consulting and conversations generated around the business filings of tax returns and advising our clients on decisions that they make in their business on a daily basis, we've had to steer towards having conversations around the Paycheck Protection Program, around the stimulus money, trying to make sure that we help them navigate a moving target, which is every week the SBA and the Treasury change some of the guidance around the way that PPP program is being implemented. And so, in addition to our normal workflow, navigating those conversations and trying to get educated in a very quick and efficient and effective manner on the PPP program has been a new task for business owners as well as tax professionals. So, now it is, you've got a forgiveness period of 8 or 24 weeks. There is an opportunity to also apply in the interim. So I would tell you that there's still more to come. There's still bills that are being introduced in the House and Senate that could affect the business programs ultimately moving forward. So continue to talk with your bank, continue to talk with your tax professional, and we'll continue to see where this goes. But it's been a very interesting and educational time for business owners, and just the core values of fiscal conservatism and planning for the worst case scenario, have held true during this period of time, certainly, and proven why we learned that in school back in my College of Business days and other things of prudency. And I tell you, you just never imagined that something like this would happen. So it's very tough for these business owners to navigate.
Yeah, I would imagine that people in your line of business are learning an entire new skill set and certainly some new maybe tricks of the trade, if you will, during all this. You think about things like PPP and stimulus checks and things like that are so uncommon to our normal way of doing things, but y'all have had to really school yourself and become experts in pretty quick time frames. What's that experience been like? Again, I'm sure you probably have had phone calls on both fronts from both personal and business clients over the last few months.
Yeah, and so the business owners are trying to dive in, learn how to navigate. They're fortunately we have our banker friends in town that are helping facilitate this. That are a lot. They're pushing out information as well and helping. I've been communicating with a lot of different institutions, financial institutions in town on what they're seeing and hearing and reading about. So that's helped me stay up to speed. But certainly reading, the original law that was passed in relation to the stimulus package was 830 pages or something. So, trying to, stay up on just the various tax issues. And then now you throw this in, it's just been a free for all and navigating information, knowing that it's changing daily and communicating that correctly. And then on the individual side, you've had a lot of people that, maybe didn't have their updated information, their bank account information, maybe in the IRS's system because they have to pay in on an annual basis. So helping them navigate, directly and communicating with the IRS, their updated information so they can get their stimulus check has been, quite interesting to navigate in the sense that tax professionals during most of that period of time haven't had the opportunity to be able to communicate directly to the IRS and answer those questions for individual clients. So it's a day by day basis as it is for all business owners, but and individuals as well. But we continue here at our firm to really take it very seriously and the information that we're learning and the advice we're giving so that our clients can be in the best position possible.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Again, you hear a lot about words like new normal tossed around a lot, and I'm sure you've got a robust understanding of what that means from a financial sense. Andrew, I sit here, I think, again, day before the filing day, you got people like me who, call you up last minute trying to get it in before the deadline. But certainly there are better practices than that for people. What are some of the things that you advise clients, both individuals and businesses throughout the year, just on how to stay in front and on top of their tax handlings?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things that people can do for themselves is, one, we'll start with the individuals, have a budget and have a way to track that budget so that throughout the year, if there are ways or areas that you do have income or expenses that can be utilized, whether it's your child care for a dependent or, your charitable contributions, real estate taxes, various expenses like that your normal W-2 employee would be able to utilize, keeping all that in good order, having a budget and a plan, and then executing that. It sounds simple, but in its basic execution, it is very effective for the individual to have an understanding of where their income and expenses are netting together and what that looks like, as well as what their taxable burden will be year to year. And so the other conversation always is talk with your tax professional, or if you file your return online through TurboTax or anything like that, pay attention to how much federal income tax withholding you have out of your paycheck compared to your wages. That simple calculation of your withholding divided by the total amount of your taxable wages will give you a percentage to kind of give you an indication of how much, you need to be paying in and adjust that accordingly. And then from the business side, I always advise people to make sure that we've got, a business bank account, a business credit card, that we are solely running business activity through. It's easy for business owners to want to mix and mingle personal and business, but it creates a skewed financial statement when you are doing that and not accounting for that appropriately. So some good ways to do that. Obviously, people use Quicken. QuickBooks is oftentimes what I recommend. QuickBooks Desktop, and then there's QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online gives the ability for business owners to give other people access. QuickBooks is now investing a large majority of their dollars into R&D related to the online platform, because of the fact that your CPA can have access, you can have access anywhere in the world as long as you have internet. So just educating the business owner on having a place to capture their financial picture, income and expenses, and then going through that with them so they learn how to identify the various occurrences that happen throughout the year. And that basic blocking and tackling in the financial world allows people like your financial advisor, tax professional, to then further take that to the next level where you're identifying ways to save in taxes. But I always tell people, don't underestimate the fact of we never want to spend $1 to save 30 cents. But at the same time, we want to identify as many things as you're incurring in your everyday life that are business oriented expenses. You'd be surprised as to what those are: meals, travel related to business, advertising, mileage on your vehicle, or maybe your vehicle is used as a business vehicle. Those are all things you're spending money on anyway. So me, with my clients, I'm working with them on a daily basis to figure out how we can pay that with before tax dollars instead of after tax dollars. So have a good team around you, have an insurance agent, have an attorney, have a CPA, have a financial advisor, and we can work together as a team. I work together with a lot of my clients, other advisors, to make sure we're all on the same page. We have a plan to execute for our clients. And that basic, like I said, blocking and tackling of the financial and tax picture goes a long way.
That's well said. Having a plan, obviously, whether you're on the baseball field like the old days, or trying to get the girls to school in the morning, or running your business, is pretty critical. And again, to your point, sometimes the unexpected happens, and hopefully we won't have anything quite as large scale and disruptive as a pandemic come our way again anytime soon. But little bumps in the road happen for business each and every day, and it's good to have people like yourself and like you said, other advisors that can kind of help businesses keep things moving along in the right direction. Andrew, any final thoughts on things maybe people should be paying attention to the rest of the year as far as it's related to their personal finances and taxes?
Sure. Yeah. Continue to, obviously talk with your tax professional, but anybody should continue to watch Washington, D.C., and we will continue to see, I think, more come out of Congress in regards to variations of packages and laws already passed, or new stimulus packages. I mean, that continues to be an ongoing conversation. So keep an eye out for Washington and what's going on there. Obviously now after tomorrow, the business deadline will be September 15th. The personal deadline will be October 15th. Again, that's an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay. The IRS does want their money sooner rather than later, so that's their way to motivate you in doing that. They will charge you interest and penalties if you do extend, but continue to have a plan. In times like this, it's more important than ever for you to understand both the income side and the expense side of your P&L, whether that's in your personal life or your business life. And so we've got some great CPAs in our industry in Tallahassee. So we're all certainly happy to help any business owner out there or individual that needs that type of guidance. So we just appreciate the opportunity to do business here in Tallahassee and our involvement with the chamber. So appreciate you guys having us on today.
You got it. And Andrew, for those who want to learn more about your business, where can we send folks to?
You can send them to our website, which is grimsleycpa.com, or they can certainly email me directly if they have any questions or concerns. They can email me at andrew@grimsleycpa.com. So those two ways would be easy to get in contact with me.
Sounds good. And finally, I know you've been working a lot of weekends lately, trying to get everything done before the deadline. Where are you taking the family this week now that you got a little bit of breathing room?
The end of July, we will be down at the Great St. George Island for a week and decompress and have a little island time. It'll be nice.
Well deserved, I'm sure. And my friend, thanks as always for your help here at the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate the support that you and the entire Grimsley CPA team puts into our building and into the work that we do to help grow our community and grow our businesses here in Tallahassee. We literally could not do it without you. And thanks for being a great treasurer, keeping our numbers in order. It means a lot. And even for a Chamber of Commerce right now, things are certainly interesting, and we need all the help we can from our board members and chamber members and supporters. So thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You got it. Folks, thanks as always for listening in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Andrew. Lots of interesting times, both on the personal finance level and for your businesses. And if you're trying to sort out how you can make the most of a challenging year, and be sure to call Andrew or your tax professional, chamber member, so that you can get everything lined up the way it needs to be. Folks, as always, you can catch this episode and every episode of the Tallahassee Business Podcast either on our website at www.talchamber, that's talchamber.com, or by subscribing on your favorite listening device, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, or any other sort. We hope that you'll go on, give it a subscribe so you can hear the show every week, and also leave us a wonderful review if you enjoy the show. Thanks as always for listening. We'll look forward to bringing you another show of the Tallahassee Business Podcast next week. Take care, folks.